he brought me in front of all his sales organization, his sales leaders, and all the public sector salespeople so that I could present to them on all the
Oh,
things that they needed to do, right? And I'm
what an
nervous, I'm
opportunity. Sure.
sweating, like my lips are stuck to my teeth or my teeth,
Note, you
yeah,
did it
because
though.
but
Yes.
I did it. I did go,
Yes.
and from there, the sales leadership said, we need to hire her. We don't know what she's going to do, but we need her. And that turned into a job offer, which now, like I say, 15 years later, I've got a whole team of people that I'm responsible for, and all of that because of relationships that I developed in that first job that then led me to the second, third, fourth, and so on. So
That's why we did 2 episodes today. And I think it's really important people take key things out of what you said. And to summarize some of them, it was a matter of the level of relationship that you go, while never to be inappropriate, and nor would we ask anybody to do anything unfavorable for their own conscience or the
yeah,
laws and regulations of employment. But
absolutely.
there is an intimacy that can be encroached that will help. And
Yes.
it will be what carries and sustains your career for many of us who live and die on that strategy. Welcome to How You Go There, a podcast that goes beyond traditional success stories to uncover the real strategies, skills, and turning points behind people who make things happen. Hosted by Scott Montgomery, author of How Did You Get Here? Lessons of Unconventional Success, business owner and ICF certified leadership coach, alongside Linda Misegadis, a seasoned expert in business strategy, leadership development, and career transformation. Together, they bring sharp insights, real-world experience, and powerful storytelling to every episode. Listeners hear authentic conversations with professionals, leaders, and changemakers who've navigated big pivots, career breakthroughs, setbacks, and new opportunities. Subscribe now and join the next evolution of the journey, because this is how you go there.
Talk a little bit. Let's kind of chat a little bit about how we talked about your first job, but your second job is built on the reputation you established during your first job, right?
100%. Yeah,
So
nice.
talk a
Good
little
line.
bit
Yeah.
about that, because I think that, I'm assuming that when you moved on to your second job, even if it's in the same organization, but when you moved
Mhm.
on to your second job, much of what you were able to do or the reputation you had developed was based off of that first job.
Well, and I know that for you as well in the city of Boulder. So, I mean, tell us. I have easily wrote that story in the book, and I was always referred to my promotions. I
Yeah.
never applied to my promotions blindly. I
Yep.
expressed interest in my relationships. So when the opportunity came, I was always on the list. And 9 times out of 10, I got the job.
Yeah.
So
No.
I didn't have because of the relationships, and I honored the relationship with the skill set that was needed. So I had done the training, I'd learned how to manage people, I understood the product, right?
Right. Yeah.
That is 25% of your job. I mean, if I were going to put
Yeah.
a number on it,
It's
like,
very true. Yeah.
and you're so good at it because the other 75 is because you've been given that opportunity. You're honoring the people that you're in a relationship with. So,
Absolutely.
I mean, did
Yeah.
that not happen to you in the city of Boulder? Was it the city
Well,
of Boulder?
if I worked for the city of Boulder, it might have, but the city and county of Denver
Oh, well,
is
there's that.
yeah, there's that. I
Yes.
mean, where I actually
Wait,
work,
what time
but
did you get here
yeah.
today? I'm sorry. What? Well, we're not allowed to make a few mistakes. Yes.
No, only I'm able to make mistakes, not you. That's the way
Oh,
this
got
works.
it.
So, um, no, but it's very true. My reputation did precede
Yeah,
me in coming into the role that I have today.
right.
And while it clearly wasn't that wasn't my second job, it was probably my many
Oh,
job along the way, but it's still relevant in the fact that what I
yes.
was able to establish and the success that I had had at the city and county of Denver, and what we were able to accomplish there helped tremendously to shift not only into a new role, but a completely different world for me because I'd always,
Yes.
for most of my career had been leading payroll departments and payroll processes and still did everything else because I can't just do one thing, but that was the core of what I did. Coming to this
Sure.
organization now here, I there's my job is so broad and so expansive, and I
Mhm.
do things that I certainly were not in my repertoire of things, but they could see that I had the skills, and it really opened up an opportunity. And I developed a relationship, right? So it was through my relationships that those people saw something, and so then they're like, "Oh, we need to bring Linda forward," and then that
Yeah.
created a new relationship, a new
Mhm.
opportunity, and then here I am, all these 15 years later. Here I am at this organization. So.
Hey everyone, Scott Montgomery here from the How You Go There podcast, and we've got something special for you. We're on a mission to hit 100 subscribers on our YouTube channel, and we want to celebrate by giving back to our amazing community of young leaders and future executives. So here's the deal. We're doing a giveaway. All you need to do to enter is 1, like this video, 2, subscribe to the channel, and 3, drop a comment below telling us your favorite episode of How You Go There. Once we hit 100 subscribers, we'll randomly pick a winner, and that person will get a signed copy of How Did You Get Here? Lessons of Unconventional Success, and the How You Go There Companion Guide. These books are packed with real-world insight for anyone looking to grow in leadership, pursue executive coaching, or just take the next steps in your journey. So if you're serious about leadership growth and learning from people who have done it their own way, now's your chance. To learn more, head on over to howyougothere.com. I was going to put you on the spot and talk about the authenticity of this.
Yeah.
And I was going to ask you how you got your second job. That's
Oh, yeah,
actually where
yeah,
I was
yeah.
going to take this.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect.
So I
Yeah.
was actually queued up for that, Logan, because I think one of the things I would like to offer in our dialogue is that we are not scripted. We are talking about our
No.
experiences
Yeah.
as a way for people to hear and understand context around the things we have found to be true in our first, second, or any job, right? We haven't applied.
Absolutely.
We don't, you can't always apply cold. You should do that early in your career so that you build your network. And we understood that. And we've said some examples. But you know what I've never heard, Linda, is your story from job one
Yeah.
to job two. And I
Yeah.
know there'll be a relationship in that because what we're talking about is true. So I'm going to put you
Absolutely.
on the spot in our unscripted story and
Sure.
say, how did you
No,
get job one and two?
definitely.
How do we find what applies in today's conversation to that?
Yeah, well, when I my first, like, what I would consider my real job, or my first real job, I was
Sure.
working for it was Already Steel Building Manufacturing Incorporated. It was
Okay.
back in the day when they sold prefabricated metal buildings predominantly to farmers, right? I mean, because
Okay.
that's who generally would use these buildings. And I ended up working for that organization, and I came in as the secretary. I was doing a lot of
Okay.
receptionist work there, and the owner, who I've mentioned that I also did the nannying for, they saw something more in me, and my position then grew into finance, and so then I
Wonderful.
started doing payroll, started doing accounting there. So interestingly, the accountant who worked for them then left to go work for a CPA firm. And when he left to go work with that CPA firm, again, I had a strong reputation that I had developed here. He called me and he said, "Hey, we've got this job opportunity over here. We'd love for you to."
Wow.
So then I went to go work for the CPA firm.
Wow.
And then from
Wonderful.
there, he went to an oil and gas company, the same accountant. He moved on. The partnership was, because this was a group of CPAs. He then reached out to me and said, listen, he was working for an oil and gas company, and he hired me to come over there and support them in that regard, from doing oil and gas accounting. Again, had no idea how to do any of this stuff. I
Fantastic.
learned how to do all of those things
Because you honored the relationship was
because I
also
honored
part
the
of your driving
relationship.
the
Yes.
desire to learn, right? So
And I
that sort of
stayed in
complements.
touch, right?
Yep.
So I maintained the relationship, and back
Gratitude.
then we didn't
Gratitude.
have LinkedIn or any of that sort of stuff. So I mean, these were literal relationships you had to maintain and staying in touch, via email or seeing each other in person. And from there, I met a new set of relationships, and it literally moved me from the next organization to the next organization. And it wasn't until the last company that I worked for before I went to work for the city and county of Denver when we were being acquired. But again, my reputation helped, and the city and county of Denver actively recruited me. I'd never thought about working in government before, and they recruited me over to work for them. I went to work for the city and county of Denver, did this massive project around bringing in a centralization effort for finance and deploying the what was then the Chrono solution. And through that, I developed relationships with the sales reps and the leadership, and went
At
to
UKJ, at Kronos,
at
yeah.
what is now UKG today. And when I heard that they were going to be making creating vertical, I approached the then VP and said, hey, would you be willing to sit down with me for an hour? I'd like to share with you because I don't think that you have a strong grasp on how to sell into the government market, but I think I could provide you with some guidance around some of those things. And for me, it literally was just sharing. I wasn't looking for a job
Wow.
at that point, right? I just wanted to share. And from that point, he's like, wow, we need to bring her over. He brought me in front of all his sales organization, his sales leaders, and all the public sector salespeople so that I could present to them on all the things that they needed to do, right? And I'm
What an
nervous, I'm
opportunity, sure.
sweating, like my lips are stuck to my teeth because my
Note, you
yeah,
did it though.
but
Yes.
I did it. I did go.
Yes.
And from there, the sales leadership said, we need to hire her. We don't know what she's going to do, but we need her. And that turned into a job offer, which now, like I say, 15 years later, I've got a whole team of people that I'm responsible for. And all of that because of relationships that I developed in that first job that then led me to the second, third, fourth, and so on. So
That's why we did 2 episodes today, and I think it's really important people take key things out of what you said. And to summarize some of them, it was a matter of the level of relationship that you go, while never to be inappropriate, and nor would we ask anybody to do anything unfavorable for their own conscience or the
yeah,
laws and regulations of employment. But
absolutely.
there is an intimacy that can be encroached that will help. And
Yes.
it will be what carries and sustains your career for many of us who live and die on that strategy. With over a decade of experience, WorldGate LLC is your trusted partner in IT staffing, project management, and UKG solutions tailored for the public sector. We help government agencies and organizations navigate complex technology landscapes, implement effective workforce solutions, and build high-performing teams. From strategic staffing to seamless systems integrations, we bring the experience and reliability to execute, empower, and exceed for our customers. Staffing? Check. Project management? Check. Public sector and UKG solutions? Check. Experience you can trust. Visit www.worldgatellc.com today. And it is my view, and it sounds like yours as well, that strategy opens up many opportunities rather than task-based oriented work that has a 5% increase on it every year because of inflation.
Absolutely. No, it
And
does.
the other thing is the tenacity of that relationship and the authenticity through follow-up and gratitude, right?
Right. Yeah.
It's not going to be a once
Yes.
and done, and it's not always going to go as you want, and vulnerability is in the mix. And the ask is always that of advice. Even
Yes.
you were giving advice to the guy who didn't know how to sell into the market.
Right.
And be careful what you ask for in those kind of
It
scenarios.
is. Yeah.
It's a good
Yeah.
thing, but it's a good thing because
It is.
you asked for it and the job opening was then created.
Yeah, it
Right?
was. Yes.
Right,
Yes,
right,
exactly. I put it out
right,
there and that created, and honestly, I was open to every one of those opportunities, right? Because throughout
right.
my career, I have worked for an ambulance company. I worked for, for AMR. I worked for Aramark. I worked for an insurance, one of the largest insurance companies in the world. All of these different industries. And as a result of that, when I kept my mind open, it didn't say, oh, I can't do that because I've never worked for this or I've never done this before. They saw something in me, so I took that. I went to work in all of those, and that has helped me tremendously in the role I'm in today and just in life in general
In
because
life
I
in general.
have an expansive view of many different industries, many different
Yes.
opportunities, and how you approach that. And I can pull from those experiences and that knowledge to help me in what I do today, not only in my professional life, but also in my personal life as well.
Yeah, they trickle over. It trickles back and
Yeah.
forth, and that's the misnomer I think some students, especially in the classroom when I was at Fordham talking to them, is
Yeah.
where's the line? Well, guess what?
Yes. There is no line, or it's a blurry line at best, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I think that the approach should not include a line, but
Yeah.
rather a place in which you've reached your comfort level.
I like
And
that.
it
Yeah.
should never encroach on the rules and laws of employment. And this is not to be misunderstood as a way to get ahead in the corporate ladder by being
No,
overly
this isn't,
personal.
no,
This is a
100%.
right,
Yes.
right.
Yes.
This is about fulfilling a fulfillment within what you're choosing to do as your career path and giving that fulfillment more focus on the relationships than the
Absolutely.
tasks themselves.
Yes. No, I completely agree with you on that. So, well,
I'm super excited to report one other quick scenario too. Linda and I, we've been doing this podcast for quite a while
yeah.
and we've had different iterations of it. The first version was really unpacking the book and sort of
Yeah.
understanding what I was trying to share. And, I didn't love that because it was like retouting my book on a podcast. I loved our interaction and the idea of sharing it on a different platform. But
Yeah.
as it progressed, we then started to bring in guests.
Yes.
And as it progressed and we bring in guests, some of my clients were fulfilled by what they were reading and seeing, and they expanded my leadership development work in their organizations.
Right.
But one of the other things that happened is one of our guests actually just hired me to actually help and develop their leadership through coaching. And
So amazing.
the organic piece of that is yet just another good analogy of the fact that I didn't bring this person on. I didn't ask for
Yeah.
the work until it actually started to make sense.
Yeah.
And we had a foundation through the podcast where we were vulnerable around how we do business together separately.
Right. Yeah.
And so I just wanted to kind of ice that story in today, put that as the icing of the cake of the story today, because look at even later in our careers how new relationships can be forged through
Yeah.
simple things like participation and
Yes,
vulnerability.
yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. No, I love that. Well, if I were going to kind of like summarize some of the key takeaways, I would say that, make sure when we talk about developing relationships, look the part, right? It is important because
Yeah.
first impressions, good or bad, are visual. So make sure you put forth your good, put forth that good foot for sure. So show up consistently and with a really good attitude too, right? Be
Don't expect it
curious,
to be a
ask
once and done. Yeah.
questions. No, exactly. You've got to do that. Be prepared when you're going to have that conversation. So if you're going to take the time or take someone else's time, don't waste it. Don't waste the opportunity.
Correct.
Make sure that you're
Yeah.
thinking in your head, what are two or three things that I really want to talk to this person about? Remember, it's not about the title, right? It's
Right.
so don't get hung up on the title. I think, you had shared a quote that people don't remember your title. They remember if you were the one who got it done, stayed late to help, or lifted others up. And that is
Lifting others
how
up.
I
Yeah.
have grown in my career. It's not because of my
Yeah.
title. If you look back on my career, I don't have big fancy titles, but what I have is consistent, deliverable, and work ethic, which is why people have continued to
And a
bring me on board.
stable full of people who you've helped lift up that have helped you lift up too, right? So
Absolutely.
that's
No.
really important. Yeah.
I think so. And then, this was just another really great line that I think that you shared with everyone today is that, people want to help people who help themselves and who show up with respect without being transactional. And I think that's a really good point for us to just kind of leave everyone with
Brilliant.
today, is
Yeah.
just, do that. So I think show
That's our
up and
goal.
show out. Yeah,
Yeah. And
exactly.
hopefully today we were able to express some stories that give guidance to the story of what our listeners are going to do with some of these things. These summaries and these topics that we're talking about are in the book. They're in the memoir book,
Yeah, they're
the
in the
lessons of
workbook. Yeah.
and they're also in the workbook, which is
Yeah.
very transactional. And really, I don't tell any stories of myself in that so the first book is context, and it talks a little bit about how to understand what we're talking about in
Yeah,
the
you got to lay
headers.
the foundation.
Sure, but then the companion guide is 100% a tool to be used by our listeners. If they want to go to howyougothere.com,
Yeah.
they can pick up their copy. There will be a free PDF around this topic today that we will be offering all week. So you can go pull down your free PDF, not the whole workbook, but a PDF
Yeah.
of this topic. And it's really satiating for us to be able to share our concepts with our listeners, and we hope that everyone's getting the best value out of this for what they want to do with it. So thank you, Linda, as
Absolutely.
always, for
Yes,
today.
thank
I really
you.
appreciate your time. It's
Yes,
always
and
nice
to
to
all
see
of
you.
our listeners, like, subscribe, follow, comment. We want to hear your feedback, and so if this episode resonated with you, share it. I think we always love to get it out there, and appreciate all of our listeners.
Yeah, and feel free to reach out to us direct. I know the email
Absolutely.
on the website is there, and we can both be reached through that. So thank you again, and we'll see you, in another week or two, Linda?
Yeah, I think
We'll
so.
pick
I
up our
think
next
so. We'll be
topic.
back again, and I'll try to be on time. All right.
Yeah, well, that would be great. Thank you
All
so much.
right.
I'll probably be late that day.
Probably tit for tat.
Yeah. Have a great weekend.
Thanks,
Bye,
you too.
everybody.
Bye.
Yeah. Thanks for listening to How You Go There podcast. If this sparks something for you, share it, review it, or connect with us at howyougothere.com. Keep leading, and we'll see you next time.